I'm back. Welcome into the latest edition of In the Zone, coming to you live across the airways of 3-Out Radio, 3outradio.com, and the 3-Out Radio app you can find in the Apple Store. You can listen to this on all episodes of In the Zone on iTunes via Apple Music, Spreaker.com, StreamYarder.com, iHeartRadio.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Yes, in fact, this is In the Zone. Back from a brief hiatus, I'm your humble host, Brian Jones. Thank you very much for joining me here today on this Friday afternoon, August the 10th, Mid-America, Kansas City. Lovely weather outside as the dog days of summer start to wind on down. School's starting to start up for the kids here in the metro area. Thank God to get out of my house, out of my refrigerator, and go back and get some good educational nourishment. So quite glad, as my wife could probably attest, that we are glad the school year is starting here momentarily here within the next week. Wave on Thursday is their first day back to school. Not really sure why they started on a Thursday. Just go to school for 2 days and then you are basically back out again. But nonetheless, glad to see that the school year is back up and starting again here in the Kansas City area as well as nationwide. Hope the weather is fine where you are and life is treating you well on this Friday afternoon. Coming up here on today's show, going to break down and take another look at the Urban Meyer investigation going on at The Ohio State University, domestic violence cover-ups. What's the real story? We'll get into that. I also want to take a look at a couple of NFL holdouts with Aaron Donald of the Los Angeles Rams and also Khalil Mack of the Oakland Raiders. Both want more money. Both have similar situations going contractually at this point in time. We'll get into all that. I also want to look at the NBA schedule release that started here earlier this week. The full schedules for the rest of the teams, I believe, is going to be released on either late tonight or early tomorrow by the NBA. But they did release some of the key games, and we'll break those down as well. Of course, if you watched any of the NFL preseason action last night, you pay attention to the news, unless you've been living in a rock somewhere for the last few months, weeks, over the last 2 years. Of course, the anthem controversy continues to rumble and rage on. They also had a new voice that actually spoke out this week, I believe, in favor of the players who are protesting, peacefully protesting, if you will. We'll get into that as well. The NCAA came out with some new rules and regulations regarding college basketball, and it's not good for anybody. I'll explain why that's the case. And as we always do here on In the Zone, close the show out with combat sports, boxing news, and reviews with Sergey Kovalev. Almost got put to sleep last Saturday night. We'll break that down. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin, Eddie Hearn. Jesus Christ, we got to get into that as well. Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence Jr., Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. It's all going down in the heavyweight division and the welterweight division. We'll get into that as well. And I also want to address some of the comments that Deontay made about Dominic Breazeale's son, and also Breazeale's response as well. But again, we'll get into that here as time goes along here towards the latter part of In the Zone. But as we always do at this time, in the immortal words of Jay-Z, it's time to take it up top. And we start off at The Ohio State University, Columbus, Ohio, where head football coach Urban Meyer is currently under investigation by the school right now on paid administrative leave, pending the outcome of said internal investigation. Investigation linked to former assistant coach, wide receiver coach Zach Smith, and his termination from the football team here recently. This is related to a 2015 domestic violence incident that involved his ex-wife. For anybody who doesn't know what's happening or going on here, it's going to give you kind of a brief rundown with everything. Again, Smith was let go from the team due to conduct detrimental. You had Brett McMurray, formerly of ESPN, who did some, investigation, reporting, whatever you want to call it, of the year. Was basically informed of the firing, did a little digging, got a little information, did a little more digging, and basically just uncovered this treasure trove of information that could potentially sink Meyer at Ohio State, the school itself. But again, we'll get into that here momentarily. Again, this is involving a 2015 domestic violence dispute with his ex-wife, talking about Zach Smith. His wife did an interview with the sports website Stadium here on last week, where she basically implicated Meyer's wife, Shelley, who was on the staff at Ohio State University. Said that she told her about the incident, but wasn't sure if Shelley Smith went back and told her husband about the incident that had happened in 2015. And there was also an incident that happened here in April as well that also was recently brought to light. When this information was brought forth to Urban Meyer at Big Ten Media Days, he originally brushed everything off and denied the incident, basically said that this is the internal matter on the football team as far as the staff goes, and that it was being handled as such. He did, however, later issue a statement acknowledging that he was aware of the incident from 2015, but was told by Zach Smith that he did not commit any illegal acts. About a week ago, Zach Smith did a interview with ESPN, one-on-one interview, and he basically came out and dismissed what was being said about him. Said it was nothing to be worried about. He did not commit any sort of illegal acts. Did not commit domestic violence. Said he would never do such a thing. It was just a bad, toxic relationship that somehow needed to end. And of course, that legal process is pushing forward there as well. He also proclaimed the benefits of Urban Meyer during this interview, saying that he was not involved directly or indirectly, knowledge-wise, of any sort of improprieties that would cause him to get fired or cause Urban Meyer to be brought under scrutiny. Literally seconds, and I'm sitting at home watching this, literally seconds after this interview aired on ESPN last week. I believe the interview concluded about 5:15 Central Time, 6:15 Eastern. Immediately following the interview, text messages were released by Brett, who was a former employee of ESPN, from Courtney Smith, where Zach Smith basically admitted to the 2015 assault and also another domestic violence incident that took place in April that led from his dismissal from Ohio State University. The main issue at hand is if that Urban Meyer knew about the 2015 domestic violence incident and didn't report it, and or knew about the incident in April that happened with his wife and did not report it. That is an immediate and direct violation of the terms and conditions of the new contract that he signed earlier this year. It would also put him in direct line with the violation of school policy involving such acts. This matter also entails his spouse as well. Again, as I stated, she is on the administrative staff as an advisor there at Ohio State University. If she knew about this matter and did not tell him, or didn't tell him, or if she told him in this resident reporter that she didn't report this herself, she's now ensnared her husband, herself, the school, and the football team into a Title IX violation. We break down what that means, ladies and gentlemen. A Title IX violation is a institute of the NCAA code which protects women from sort of rapes, domestic violence incidents, or anything else. Basically, it's women's equality and their rights are protected under Title IX. With this being a woman that has knowledge of this incident that happened to another woman and did not report it, did not tell her husband, did tell him he did not report it. If any member of his staff had any knowledge of this and did not report it, that puts them, you can forget about his contract in the school and everybody else. This puts all of them directly in the line of sight of Title IX. Florida State University just got slammed here about 18 months ago because of Jameis Winston's foolish acts during his time there. Because of a Title IX violation, they're still paying the price to this day. More times than not, the outcome of those investigations are kept private. You do sometimes hear about scholarships being taken away, fines, practices, X, Y, and Z. So a lot more that entails into that, to where they'll dip into the actual school's funds itself. They'll dip into the actual school's scholarships themselves. They'll start delving a little deeper and go, okay, well, you don't need grants 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for this women's program. And you don't need, grants and loans for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for this women's program anymore. They'll start pulling at the school's purse strings, start taking away things, scholarships, and everything else, that involves another legal issue unto itself, and then things will cycle back and forth as they will out of that. The bottom line is the optics of this right now are not good. What it basically shows, and again, this is not to impugn or to impose any sort of guilt or innocence on Zach Smith, on Courtney Smith, on Urban Meyer, on Shelley Meyer, on the Ohio State University or their football program. Let me be crystal clear about this before I say what I'm about to say, because I know a lot of Ohio State fans. I know some of them personally. I know one of them I've known him for approximately 10 years. Was steadfast when I had spoke with him on social media here, I guess earlier this week or late last week. Was steadfast and said, hey, Urban's going to get cleared. This had nothing to do with him. He didn't know anything. This is all a bunch of hoo-bar barb about nothing. You know, he got let go. Big deal. We gonna be okay. You know, OHIO, the whole deal. Okay, fine. And he's entitled to that opinion. I can't say that he's wrong and say, well, yeah, your coach is going to get fired. All I'm simply letting you guys know now is what the optics show. What it looks like is that Urban had knowledge of this from what happened in 2015. I'm pretty dang sure he had knowledge of what happened in April in Costa Rica. I'm pretty sure that's what led to this, with Zach Smith getting fired and then the digging and investigation itself. The 2015 incident was more or less brushed off, put on the rug, stomped down. Hey, we gonna go and win some games right quick. We're not gonna worry about it. We're gonna let Zach and Courtney handle the business outside of the perimeters of the school and the football program, and then we're gonna leave it alone. Well, unfortunately, you guys are not mobsters or anything like that. So anything you try to put up on the rug, stomp over, and walk over, yeah, it's gonna come back to get you every time. Zach Smith also had a domestic violence incident back in 2009 when he was on Urban Meyer's staff at Florida. That Meyer himself, again, basically brushed it off, wrote it off. He made the comment that it was basically a young couple adjusting to married life, and that, they had to go through some counseling and tweaks and twerks and everything else. Be clear about something here. And you guys who know me personally and listen to this program already know I am not down with the Slapahoe tribe. The Slapahoe tribe is any man, and you can't even call him a man the way I was raised, who puts his hand on a woman. And if he did this, and you can look at some of the pictures and see the bruising in the blood and everything else, some people say it's coagulated, it's ketchup, it's hot sauce, it's fake, yada yada yada. That's neither here nor there. I can't make that judgment because only 3 people really know what happened in that situation. That's Zach Smith, Courtney Smith, and God himself. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I can't attest to it, so I'm not going to sit back and say, yes, he did. No, he didn't. He's going to have his day in court, just like Urban Meyer's going through his investigation now. And should that go to the court of the NCAA and the school, they'll make whatever ruling they deem necessary. I'm not down with domestic violence. I'm not. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you feel as a man, you're in a situation with a woman in a relationship to where it's not working out, you're not getting what you want, she's not getting what she wants, you guys go back and forth and argue all the time, you got to go here, you got to go there. If you feel you got to take the steps to put your hand on a woman, you need to walk away. Period. Break it off, be done, and go. You go your way, she go hers, you call it what it is, it's copacetic after that. But the moment you cross that line, and you hit her, you beat her, you kick her in the ribs, all this other garbage or whatever, that had to come down to it, and you were facing a man. Not that, don't know why I want to deal with all that. Period. So if he did this, and again, this is not yet going to court yet or anything else, but if he did this, he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Furthermore, bottom line, if Urban Meyer or anyone on the staff or his wife or anybody connected to the school, mind you, his wife is a member of the administration. of that school, the football team, or the staff, or anybody knew about the domestic violence